Hello everyone, today we are breaking down Season 2, Episode 5, Turn Your Back of The Witcher. Remember to like the video, it helps out the channel a lot, and subscribe, and yada yada yada, let's get to it. The first thing we see is a man in a cell snapping his fingers. A woman comes to visit him. Her name is Lydia. She is a mage. She mentions how the man's talent is wasted being caged up. She also mentions how he is in a dim meridium cell, which means he is also a mage. Dim meridium suppresses magical abilities. The man in the cell is known as Reince. He has been locked up here for 10 years because of a debt to Calanthe, Ciri's grandmother, probably why he takes the news of her death quite well. Lydia is willing to get him out of jail if he goes hunting for Ciri. Lydia says that Nilfgaard is the only one hunting for her currently, but when others learn of her, they will hunt too. She was last seen outside of Sodden. There is a lot of reasons why people will want Ciri. She is the rightful heir to Cintra. So if you married the girl, you would essentially be the king of it. Some may want her for her power she possesses. Reince does not want to serve Nilfgaard, but Lydia is not working for Nilfgaard. Her employer gets revealed later on in the story. So Reince agrees to look for the girl. We fast forward and it looks like Reince's searching has led him to Jaskier. He is watching the bard perform Burn, Butcher, Burn from the last episode. We then head to Yennefer. She has gone off the boat to Cintra to look for Jaskier, who was attacked, kidnapped in the last episode. We now see that the bard is tied up and Reince is the one who captured him. Jaskier has no idea what this is about. He believes it could be about sleeping with his significant other or some other person close to him. Reince gets closer and snaps his fingers, and fire is coming out of his index finger. Reince is using fire magic, which is forbidden by the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. He is not using a lot like Yennefer did last season, so he's not risking his ability to use chaos. We now head to Centra, where Istrid and Geralt are meeting for the first time. Geralt explains why he is here, that Triss portaled him here to talk to Istrid about monoliths since he is an expert on them. Geralt tells him that the one outside the city has been toppled and a new subspecies of monster is coming out of it. Geralt's theory is that the monsters were nesting in the subterranean structure for years, which could explain the unique mutations they saw of the Leshy and the unknown monster. Istrid believes this is a joke. Geralt shows him the head of the unknown monster. Istrid sees this is not a joke. We return to Yennefer and she is still trying to find Jaskier. She elicits the help of a whore to see if Jaskier has been taken by a guard and is caged up in a garrison. If you recall, Jaskier did yell at a guard quite harshly last episode, so it's a reasonable place for Yennefer to start. We head back to Cintra, and Geralt and Istrid are heading to where the monolith once stood. Istrid tells Geralt that monoliths are indestructible. They are solid structures, so it does not make sense that monsters could be nesting in them. Istrid also wants to know how he knows it is this monolith. So Geralt is not telling him the whole story. He is not mentioning Ciri or how she toppled it. Istrid says the sheer force it would take to destroy it is insane. He can't think of anything that can do that. So we see that Ciri is very powerful, but she still doesn't know how to control that power. We head to Karamorin and see Ciri is still hard at work training. Triss comes and joins her. Apparently, Ciri does not want to do a magic lesson. She'd rather work on her swordsmanship. Ciri says she will be in soon. Triss starts to head back to the keep where she meets Vesemir. Vesemir wants to talk about how Ciri has elder blood, and with her blood, they can make more Witcher mutagens, which in turn can make more Witchers. In the prequel Nightmare of the Wolf, Karamorin was sacked and all the mutagens were destroyed, making it so they cannot make any more Witchers. With this discovery, Vesemir has hope they can start making Witchers again. Vesemir believes this is fate, destiny, with Ciri being here and a talented mage being here, Triss Merigold. Triss agrees to help Vesemir with this if Ciri agrees to it. She gets to decide. This is all new, this isn't in the books, it is never discussed what Witcher mutagens are made out of, but apparently in this, it's elder blood. We return to Yennefer as she waits for the whore to return with the info. The reason why Yennefer does not go to the garrison herself is that she is wanted. The guards will recognize her because of the posters that were dropped by birds. Yennefer sees that a half-elf is being separated from her human mother. Yennefer tries using magic again, but still nothing. We then hear the deathless mother in Yennefer's head, telling her she just needs to ask for her power. So the mother is still watching Yennefer, waiting for her to agree to the deal for her chaos to return to her. Yennefer is stubborn. She refuses to make a deal with some woods witch. The whore returns and tells Yen that there is no one by the name of Jaskier locked up. She also tells Yennefer to check the first place you found him. That is usually where they end up, at a bottom of the bottle. So Yennefer goes to check the tavern Jaskier was playing at the night before. We return to Jaskier, and he is indeed in the tavern he was playing at the night before. Reince has beaten the crap out of him trying to get answers. Jaskier has yet to give him any info on Geralt or Siri. The reason is because he has no idea where they are at. Geralt abandoned Jaskier after the dragon hunt, which was months ago, and he has never met Siri. Reince talks about chaos, how people think it comes from nothing, but they are wrong. You need a source. So like air, water, fire, or earth. I don't know if they ever mention this, maybe in season 1, but I can't remember. Anyways, he says that you have to be extremely talented to use fire, or it will consume you. Like I said, I think Yennefer can use it, but she used too much of it. She destroyed an entire army. He literally has a little flame. He's about to burn Jaskier for info. You can tell he's enjoying himself. He has a big smile on his face. Jaskier then tells him that his stories about Geralt are exaggerated. When Geralt mentions a Witcher keep, he turns it into a magical hideaway in the mountains. After hearing this, Reince figures out where Geralt and Ciri could be. Yennefer walks in on the two acting like a drunk wife. Jaskier plays along with this ruse. Yennefer takes a big swig of alcohol. Reince grabs her, puts her against the wall, and flicks the flame on. Yennefer spits the alcohol at him, which burns Reince's face, and the two escape. This is similar to how it happens in the books, but Yennefer in the books still has her powers, and she just uses magic. We return to Geralt and Istrid coming across where the monolith once stood. There's a giant crevice in the earth. Istrid is awestruck and Geralt looks very concerned. He knows that Ciri did this. Istrid says this is a scientific revelation. Geralt and him are going to head into the crevice. We return to Karamorin and Ciri comes in from training where she is greeted by Vesemir. Vesemir tells her how she is impressing them all with what she is doing with her training. He's trying to butter her up before he asks the question. Vesemir says he needs to show her something. They head to the lab. Vesemir talks about the conjunction of spheres. How spheres of elves, dwarves, humans, and monsters all collided here on the continent. Mages tried to weaponize the monsters to take over the continent, but this backfired and the monsters destroyed most of everything. But some 300 years ago, mages weaponized men and mutated them with elixirs to make them faster and stronger to kill the beasts. The Witchers saved humanity from being wiped out. He then goes on and says how the mutagen to create Witchers was destroyed during the sacking of Karamorin. He then shows her the Fenwed flower and explains how it only grows where elder blood has been spilled. She recognizes it since she sees it sprouting up around the training course. She realizes that she has elder blood, and that means she has some elf descendants. He then says something bad is brewing out there, which we have heard before from other characters in the show, and how a vial of her blood could help protect generations to come because they could make more Witchers. Ciri agrees to do it if the mutagen can be tested on her first, so she wants to become a Witcher. Vesemir then has flashbacks of the trial of grasses, administering the mutagens. It is an extremely painful trial and most die, only 3 out of 10 survive. Vesemir then says forget it, he does not want to put Ciri through that. Ciri convinces him though that she is meant for this, that she wants to help, that she has destroyed so many things, she wants to heal something for once. So when Ciri says she has destroyed so many things, she's talking about the people she accidentally killed in episode 7 of last season, and the countless people who have died for her because of Nilfgaard being after her. We return to Istrid and Geralt, and they are down in the crevice. Geralt mentions how there is no nest or any evidence that monsters that were after Siri were even here. Istrid is still dumbfounded on how this could happen. He's still trying to figure out what destroyed the monolith. He says that historians believe monoliths were scars left over from the conjunction, but there was nothing here before the conjunction. All beings were in their separate spheres, until they merged into one. This would require two things: a massive surge of power and conduits to channel it. Istrid believes that monoliths are conduits, so they can be interacted with if there's a huge power source. What happens when a source interacts with it, we find out later in the episode. We return to Karamorin, where Siri is getting her blood drawn by Triss as Vesemir watches. Triss mixes Siri's blood with magical stuff. She says an incantation over it. It turns black. Vesemir looks at it and says it has worked. They have made more Witcher mutants, which means they can make more Witchers. Siri tells the group she needs a moment to prepare and leaves the lab. Triss looks at Vesemir and asks what she meant by that. Vesemir tells her that she wants to be the first new Witcher, that Siri has made this choice. Triss is very concerned by this news. We return to Yennefer and Jaskier. The two are taking a breath after escaping from Rhines. Jaskier tells Yennefer that he is after Geralt and they need to warn him. Yennefer tells him that she still doesn't have her magic. She can't. A group of men discover them hiding. One of them makes a rude comment to Yennefer. She kicks him in the testicles and the two take off running again. Yennefer and Jaskier split up. Yennefer is beckoned by the whore she paid in the morning for info. She runs into the building and finds out it is a trap, and she is captured by two guards. We return to Siri in her room, where Triss barges in to discuss her becoming a Witcher. Siri says the reason why she wants to do this is that she is sick of feeling lost, that everything she was told her whole life was a lie, and the people who were closest to her, who knew the truth, are dead. So she wants meaning and a sense of direction, and she believes with becoming a Witcher, she will get that. Triss tells her that there is another way for her to find out about her power. It's called Dolduzza, which in the common tongue means the Valley of the Soul. It will allow Triss to enter the deepest layer of her consciousness and uncover things that could be hidden, genetic memories that tell the story of who Siri is. Siri agrees to do it. The two do it, and the two are together while in Siri's mind. They seem to be at a tavern almost, and at each table has a different memory or person at it. So the Witchers she met at Karamorin have their own table. Dara has his own table. Queen Calanthe, her grandmother, has her own table. Siri and Triss walk around glancing at all of them. Siri sees that the Black Knight Kaer is at a table as well. She grows fearful. Triss says that none of them can hurt her here, don't be afraid. Siri hears a voice and she finds her mother, Pavetta. Pavetta can see Triss and Siri and wants to know if Siri would like to hear a story. Triss starts to grow fearful. None of the people should be able to see them. The rest of the people in Siri's mind start staring at the two. Triss and Siri enter a hallway and they hear Pavetta's voice again. Triss is very concerned now. This is not how the spell is supposed to work. They enter a room where they meet Siri's parents, Dooney and Pavetta, and a baby Siri on the bed. They are discussing a prophecy and that if people find out, they would try and kill baby Siri. I would say this has to deal with her elder blood in some way. Dooney says that they can leave that night in the cover of darkness, so this is the night Siri's parents die because of their ship sinking. Pavetta once again notices Siri and Triss standing there. Triss grabs Siri and runs out the room. This is not how the spell is supposed to work, as Triss has said like 3 times. We return to Istrid and Geralt, still in the crevice. Istrid says he was studying a different monolith at Nazir. It emitted a strange energy for a few seconds the same night Centra fell. Istrid believes that the monoliths are a conduit system, that all of them then light up when an energy here activated them. So the conjunction is not what they thought it was exactly. The spheres did not merge. They collided, then separated again. So the conjunction of spheres brought monsters, dwarves, elves, and humans all to the continent. And many people believed the spheres merged, where in reality they separated again. So all those spheres are still out there. So there is an elven sphere, there's a human sphere, there's a monster sphere. The monoliths call out to these spheres and act as gateways, so portals almost. The monsters Geralt encountered are not new, but they are new to this continent. They came from one of the spheres when the monolith was activated and the gateway opened. Istrid wants to know how Geralt knows that the monsters and monoliths were linked. Remember that Istrid knows nothing of Siri, he still has no idea what destroyed the monolith. Geralt, on the other hand, is starting to understand how special Siri is. Istrid says this info could help enhance their civilization. Geralt believes it has more to do with helping the elves. You have to remember, Istrid sympathizes with the elves. He betrayed the Brotherhood to work with Nilfgaard to help them. Geralt wants to remain neutral, as Witchers do, in the Nilfgaard Northern Kingdom War. And he also wants to protect Ciri. Istrid tells Geralt that the real reason why he came to Cintra was because he thought a woman would be here. Yennefer. Geralt is somewhat shocked by this. He gathers that Istrid loved her. Istrid says he never stopped. Geralt then finds out that Yennefer is still alive. You have to remember he thought she died after Sodden. We return to Ciri and Triss. They are in a field. Triss literally has no idea what's happening anymore with this spell. They come across an elf holding a baby. She's also bleeding out. The elf here is an ancestor of Ciri's. Her name is Laura Doran. Laura Doran was a strong elven mage who fell in love with a powerful human mage. This relationship was very controversial at the time. Laura Doran's descendants are considered very strong with magical gifts because they carry elder blood. Triss, for some odd reason, tries to help the elf. This isn't real, I don't know why she would. Laura then grabs Triss by the throat. Laura then recites the end of the world prophecy by Ithne, which we heard in Season 1. Child of elder blood, child of wrath, the time of contempt is nigh. The world will die amidst frost and be reborn of the new sun, reborn of elder blood, of the seed that has been sown, a seed that will not sprout, but will burst into flame. We then see that the world is turned into a red hue, the same hue we saw last episode when Ciri had her vision. We then see the Wild Hunt and his Red Riders. Most common folk believe they are wraiths galloping across the sky, serving as an omen of war. People who have played the games know a bit more about them, and they do get discussed later on in the show. Ciri, seeing them, starts yelling out for Geralt. We then see the memorial tree shake for some reason when she does this. Geralt, back at Cintra with Istrid, hears the yelling. Both him and Istrid look up. The stalactites on the ground in the crevice start flying towards something behind them, and we see a flash. Triss and Ciri awake from the spell. Triss is frightened of Ciri at this point. She says that something is ending because of you. You are the seed that bursts into flame. You will destroy us all. So Triss believes Ciri will bring the end of the world upon them. Earlier, we saw Ciri's parents talk about how they would try and kill her because of a prophecy. This is the prophecy they were talking about. Some people would believe killing her would stop the prophecy, which would mean the end of the world would not happen. So Triss being afraid of Ciri is not in the books. The scene with her going into her mind does happen, but like I said, she's not scared of Ciri when she comes out of it. We return to Geralt and Istrid. Istrid is confused about the voice that was calling Geralt's name. We then see what the stalactites went into, a flying creature of some kind. I believe this is a Trinibog, which is not in the games or book, but it is a deity of darkness in Slavic culture. So Ciri must have opened a portal to another sphere, and the monster came through, and the stalactites attached itself to it. Istrid has said that the stalactite is quite strong, so the creature won't have many weak points on it. Geralt tells Istrid to open a portal back to Karamorin. Geralt wants to make sure that Ciri is alright, though he does not tell Istrid this. Istrid still does not really know the whole story of what's happening here. We return to Karamorin, and Ciri tells Vesemir she wants the Witcher mutagens administered now. She feels like even more of a freak because of how Triss reacted to her. So she believes this will give her clarity. Vesemir is about to inject it, but Geralt stops him just in time. Ciri says the reason why she wanted to do this because she feels like she is not enough no matter how hard she trains. Geralt tells her she is extraordinary, that she is more than enough. Ciri then goes on to say how she wants to be like Geralt, to be indifferent to the past, to the lies, to the things she has done. So in a way she wants to become a Witcher so she does not have to deal with these feelings. As we have seen throughout the show, most people believe Witchers have no feelings, they are indifferent, but as we have followed Geralt and other Witchers, they clearly do, they're just more or less suppressed. So Siri does not want to feel bad about her past. Geralt tells her that's not how it works. And then he says all you can do is kill the hatred in your heart and move on. We return to Istrid. He is wondering if the reason why Calanthe wouldn't let him near the monoliths near Cintra is because she knew the secret of them. He then gets a book to see the royal line of Cintra. He sees that it stops randomly at Queen Fiona. Istrid does not know why though. We know it's because that somebody in Fiona's line has elf ancestry and many humans hate elves, so they covered it up. We then see Kaer has made it to Cintra. He seems a bit testy when meeting Fringilla. We return to Yennefer and she is still tied up. The Deathless Mother is talking to her about how Fringilla and Francesca are doing so good now since they agreed to a deal with her. Jaskier sees her through a window trying to figure out how to save her. Yennefer knows she is going to die without the Deathless Mother, so she agrees to her. Yennefer gets portaled back to the hut. The Deathless Mother says she is not here to grant wishes, just a guide to get you what you want. That is why with Fringilla and Francesca, she just gave them advice on how to get what they want. The Deathless Mother says the only way to get your power back is to steal it from Siri. You have to remember, Yennefer does not know that this is Geralt's child's surprise. The Deathless Mother says all Yennefer has to do is deliver Siri to the monolith she destroyed outside of Cintra to get her powers back, though she never goes into detail on how this will return Yennefer's powers, but all will be revealed in the episodes to come. So what did you think of episode 5 of The Witcher? Leave it down in the comments below, and if you want more Witcher content, please subscribe and like the video, and also check out the Twitter. Link in the description below, and as always, have an awesome day.